Thanks for watching this video. So this is the first video. I will make a series of videos which will focus on UK construction and the real estate market. So in this series of videos, I will review what is happening in construction and the real estate market in the UK. So I will specifically focus on UK. The market review will not cover everything, but we will use some real event in the market, and we will try to identify some big event. And this big event, not just it's happening now, and we will try to identify this event and hope this event will become a trend. So this video just give you some ideas of what is happening in the UK construction and real estate market, but also try to give you some ideas about what will happen later. It's a trend. So this is just a general explanation of this video. We will have use this to use this time. So we will, each video will cover one or two topics, and the video will be I will try my best to be less than 30 minutes. So today we will talk about the B2R, build to rent. So this is a new type of property, and which has really something like a new star, a rising star. The heading Dandara Living secured a 60 million loan from HSBC. So we will, each video we will use a heading or a title, and this heading or title comes from a news report or some magazine or some journal. The purpose is we will just want to make sure the topic is a real topic, and it has a reliable source of information. And this event, we say, is a big event or represents some future. So it means there are significant coverage of this event. So we will use this news report, this heading, this source of information as a proof. So this is the today's topic. Dandara. Dandara is a Scottish developer, Scottish housing developer, which specifically for build to rent. Scotland is trying to become an independent state. So so if it's really becoming independent, we will not include in any Scottish company. But Dandara is still part of UK. So we talk about this company. So this is a large scale, or we would say this is a small sector, but in this sector, B2R sector, Dandara is big. And just by the way, in British construction and real estate market, the company are quite specialized. So a company will not do all business. So they will just specialize in one or two areas. So this build to rent developer is specialized in this small sector called B2R. So so Dandara Living has secured a large amount of money. So you can see 60 million. So this shows again, you can see housing development, property development needs a lot of money. It is quite a capital intensive business, so it needs a lot of money. So this sector's growth, this sector's survival clearly depends on financial support. So if they cannot secure the financing, this sector cannot even survive. So let alone the future growth. So this time you can see this company Dendara got 16 million. It's quite a big amount of money from one of the biggest banks in the world, HSBC. So it also shows these banks are becoming more and more interested in B2R, build to rent. So this is clearly good news for B2R sectors. It also guarantees the growth if they continue to support this sector. So this sector will grow even faster. So although it has been growing very fast. So this is the financial support from HSBC to a company called Dendara. Currently, there are 10 million private renters in the UK. British housing market can be divided into 3 sectors. So one sector is called private buying. It's ownership, private ownership. Second part is private rented. So here, with next bullet points, private rented sector, PRS. So the first is private buying, private ownership. Second is private rented. The third is social rented. So there are 3 parts. For a private rented part in the UK, currently there are 10 million renters. So you know, UK has a little over 60 million population. So this is roughly a little less than 20%. So private rented is roughly 20%. So private ownership is over 60%. The remaining is social rented. So this is the so compared with private ownership, private buying, private rented is a small part. So this is the this is what the structure in British housing market. And B2R is a newcomer, so it is quite new. It's really new. It's, in my view, it's maybe just around 3 years or maybe 5 years. I have been involved in British construction and real estate industry for over 15 years. So I think I'm qualified to say this is new type of property, new type of housing. This is new. It is not only new, it is also small. So here we say it is about 3% of PRS. So even for this kind of 20% over the whole housing market, it is only 3% of PRS. So it's quite small. It is understandable because it has only few years history. B2R is very new to not only to professionals, also to many households. So we will talk about buy to let. Buy to let is an individual household business. People more familiar with buy to let, but they are not familiar with B2R. So B2R is new to Britain, although it is not new to other countries. B2R, I think the biggest B2R market is in America, and B2R is, I think it truly is American concept. So British professionals imported this concept to UK, and it is growing very, very fast. It has attracted a lot of attention. Lot of attention means a lot of investors, especially a lot of institutional investors. So here, in the UK, in UK financial market, when we say institutional investors, we are mainly talking about pension funds and insurance company. These two are very typical institutional investors. These are big investors, very knowledgeable investors, very experienced investors, and any market needs these kind of institutional investors. So B2R has attracted a lot of attention of these institutional investors, and so here also from this title you can see HSBC, a big bank. So this kind of attention set a good foundation for B2R to grow. So because of this financial support, B2R, as I already said, is a very capital intensive business. It needs a lot of money. So these institutional investors, these big investors' involvement in B2R make this sector grow very much possible. So because of this attention, because of this support, so now many people agrees it can even compete with student accommodation. Student accommodation compared with B2R is not new. Student, in my view, maybe 20 years history. Student accommodation will be another topic, so we will talk about this in another video. It's very, very successful. It's a very, very successful property type, and B2R, many people think, can compete with student accommodation. So this will be another successful story, another very successful story in the UK. So that's why we use this as a topic for the video. So B2R has a good future, and in just very short period of time, it grows exponentially. It's really it's flying. But why? The reasons behind the rising of B2R. There are certain reasons for this B2R, for the growth of B2R. But here I want to talk about two reasons. The first reason is the return. So we said this a lot of attention, a lot of investors, a lot of big investors. These big investors has been looking for somewhere to invest to get a decent return. Since 2008 financial crisis, the interest rate has been kept at a very, very lower level. So these many central banks are maintaining at almost a zero interest rate. So LIBOR is also very, very low, because LIBOR closely linked with like this central bank, like British central bank's interest rate. These institutional investors, these big investors, they are very hungry for high return, because these big investors, they usually have a lot of investment in government bonds, like in the UK gilts, American Treasury bonds. Because of this lower central bank interest rate. So these government bonds are very, very low return. And this has been maintained for over 10 years. So these institutional investors are really desperate to find another place or other places to get a little bit higher return, because they need a stable, secure, long-term cash flow in, because they need to pay out. They have cash flow out, so they need to have cash flow in. But they are not like a special. They are not like small investor. They cannot do speculative investment. They cannot do risky investment. So they need return from a secure, long-term, and low-risk source. And they think B2R is what they are looking for. So they think, they are confident B2R can provide this stable cash flow, long-term cash flow, low-risk cash flow, but it's a little higher than government bonds return. So this kind of confidence from investor makes make this sector grow something like guaranteed. So this is one reason. Another reason is housing affordability. So in Britain, housing price is too high. So many people, especially young people, cannot afford to buy a house. So they cannot become a private owner. But they are also not qualified for social renting. So the only place they can go is private rented. So this private rented can give them a decent place to live for a period of time before they move to private housing owner. So this kind of housing unaffordability also make this kind of the demand for B2R, for private rented, possible. So this kind of provide strong demand for private rented, and B2R is part of private rented, and B2R can attract a lot of these renters, especially these young professionals, young people. So many people think PRS has really a very stable, bright. So this sector will only just become bigger and bigger. So the share of this sector in the whole housing sector will become bigger. At least will not smaller. So this kind of solid demand make these investors very confident they can get this return. So this is these are the reasons which explain why B2R something like suddenly become a new star in a housing market. So this is the something like a general background. So let's look at some details of this B2R, this new type of property, new type of housing. B2R mainly is about new apartment. So here we emphasize, highlight this. It is new. It's not old. It's not in the housing stock. It is newly developed. It is newly built. It is newly designed. And it is apartment. So apartment means it is not housing. It's not a terrace housing, detached or semi-detached housing. It is apartment. It is a multi-family housing blocks. So so this is I think is some very important feature of B2R, and they are built, they are constructed solely for rental. You know, if you are familiar with housing project, so you know, many projects or significant part of housing projects are for sale. So the developer, they build them and sell them, and then they build another project. So if they cannot sell all the units of project, maybe the remaining one will be for renting. But now this kind of a B2R project is solely for rent. They never for sale. So this is not only they rent to a long-term project. So so they're different from long-term home ownership, but they are also long-term renting. So also maybe not as long as home ownership, but it's long compared with another we call the buy-to-let. So because of these characteristics, and also they are 50. So although it's 50 is not sounds like a big project, but they compare with buy-to-let, it is really big. So these are the something like a features. So you can see these features clearly are significantly different from buy-to-let. Buy-to-let is another topic, and this also will be covered in another video. So here we just compare B2R with buy-to-let. B2R is different from buy-to-let. Buy-to-let has a much longer history than B2R. Buy-to-let is a quite favorable investment for many British householders. So buy-to-let means it is an individual, usually, typically, it is an individual family. They buy one property and they live in this property. But if they have financial ability, they will buy another property, second, third, fourth, but they do not use this second, third, fourth. They rent it out. They let others use this property, and then they this household, they get the rents. So these rents become income. So buy-to-let is something like individual small business activity. Very, very rare buy-to-let will be over 50 homes. It's just a small home, small amount of homes. So compare with buy-to-let. Buy-to-let 50 is very, very small for buy-to-let. Oh, so for B2R. But 50 for buy-to-let is very big. So this is the difference between B2R and buy-to-let. B2R not only it's new apartments over 50 for renting. Here we say it is this kind of a property, this kind of development goes one step further. So they are not just usual apartments. So these kind of multi-family blocks, there are a lot of such projects, these blocks around the world, also in Britain. But these B2R are not just these usual, ordinary or other apartments. They are different. They are different from these apartments. Here we call it one step further. They are B2R. B2R developments are apartments, but they go one step further than the apartments, the usual apartments. So here one step further means it is a mini communities. So B2R projects emphasize communities, social integrity. So this is a small society. The developer, the investor, the owner, they want to create a small society, a community. So in this community, each members, they are provided very good chance to make friends, to do more social activities together. So these kind of development, these projects, they have a lot of specially designed communal areas to facilitate the sense, the feeling of community, a society. This is different from apartment. These usual apartments they are just individual families. Many residents may not know each other for years. But these B2R projects, they want to create an environment which link the residents more closely. The project want to create this kind of atmosphere. Each one is part of the whole. Each one is part of these communities. So people have more chance to know each other, to speak to each other, to be friends. So this is called one step further. So this kind of a community really is an important feature of B2R projects. So this particularly attracts young people. So that's why B2R is many B2R users are young people. They want to be better connected. So this is called community feeling, community sense. And how to achieve this? So there are a lot of facilities, a lot of amenities are provided, like gyms, like lounges, like game rooms, like concierge, like bike facilities. So bicycle can be secured, stored. So these are all part of this kind of a community, communal areas. It's different. It's a new type of property and a new type of community. And many people agree, if this B2R project can be successful, it will also provide a very good return to investors, to owners. And here we say it will become an asset class. And this asset class will have a good yield, good return. And this return, not only high return, it is stable return. It is a long-term return, a long-term cash flow in. And also could become a very good collateral. And also will be a lower credit risk. The renters, if they pay rent on time, if like this developer, the loan will be quite certain to pay back. They can pay back all these loans. So this is B2R. This is our first topic. Thank you for watching.